family-owned restaurants, cafes, shops, and boutiques. Supports hiring near Amazon.com/apply.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Ron Jaworski Show. And yes, we are coming at the Downingtown Country Club. And as usual, tonight's show is brought to you by Bradford White Water Heaters, built to be the very best. And a special thanks to Carl Pinto and all the fine folks out at Bradford White Water Heaters. And of course, Miller Lite, my favorite adult beverage. I like to have one or two when I'm celebrating an Eagles win. So thanks to Mark Kramer, Brendan Dalton, and all the fine folks over at Miller Lite. Great to have them back once again as a sponsor. And before the show opened, you heard it. Thank you very, very much to our veterans for your service. It is absolutely deeply appreciated. And today at all the Ron Jaworski golf courses, we allowed veterans to play free, and we were packed. And I love every minute of it. It's one of my favorite days of the year when I can get out and just say thank you to our veterans for allowing us to do what we do here on the Fanatic and have a great time talking football and just enjoying life like we can. It's due to those great veterans. So thank you very much, veterans. Got a great show tonight. This is going to be a wild one, a fun one, and I like it that way because I have the NFL insider who always brings it every single time, Adam Caplan. Adam, great to have you with us once again.
Jaws, thank you very much. A shout out to my nephew, Brian Caplan, in Special Forces in the Navy. So he's out there, and my father, a former naval officer. So yeah, I'm glad that we can give some thanks for those officers and veterans for sure.
No question, Adam. Thank you so much, and we believe in what they've done for us. So great to have your family as part of the protection that we have in this country. And got a very special guest as well because it is the Philadelphia Eagles and New York Giants. And my next guest, he beat up on the Eagles an awful lot for a long time. He played 10 years in the National Football League. He's a 3-time Pro Bowler. First team All-Pro in 2005, a Giants Ring of Honor member, over 10,000 yards rushing, over 5,000 yards receiving, 10 years in the NFL, Mr. Tiki Barber. Tiki, thank you for joining us here on the Ron Jaworski Show. He's not ready yet. See, there we go. We're making the connection. Hey. But yeah, Adam, let's get back to you because sure. You do have some breaking news that you had regard to the Eagles practice today, and who might be up and who might be down.
Yeah, so the Eagles' Jaws are going to get some great news. Okay,
give us some news.
Barring some setbacks, because we know that could happen. You play football, you know about those dreaded setbacks. But everyone practiced today, other than Fletcher Cox, on the 53-man roster. But there's one guy who's not on the roster, technically, Jaws, because he's on injured reserve. That's Isaac Seumalo. Seumalo's come back from a sprained knee, a pretty severe one. However, I'm told he will play this week, barring a setback. So as long as practice goes well, he'll be back at left guard, and he's been sorely missed at left guard because they need him back, and they've had a revolving door there. So they finally, Jaws, after 2 months, are going to get very, very healthy.
Yeah, really, you're looking at probably Brandon Brooks, might be the only guy that is out that would have been as a starter on this offensive line. Terrific news for the running game. Terrific news for Carson Wentz. Alshon Jeffrey, I guess, practiced today as well.
He's expected, barring a setback, to play. He'll back up at X. Obviously, Fulgham's their full-time X. What an incredible story, Jaws. I remember texting you after that Niner game. I said, Jaws? No, I'm sorry.
It was a Niner game. We scored a touchdown.
Right. And you go, oh, just a couple catches. But he did look good. Can you believe how good this kid is?
Yes, I can believe it.
Tell me what
you know
said.
why I looked at
Why?
the tape.
Go ahead.
And you know, when you watch a game, and he obviously makes the game-winning catch against San Francisco 49ers, and you say, yeah, okay, they showed him running some routes occasionally, catch a couple balls. But when you look at the all 22, which is what I look at, you see every player on every play, and you watch him run his routes. I mean, he's busting his tail on every route. And then you watch the nuances of playing the wide receiver position. You know, it's not only speed and good hands and all that. It's the nuances. Do you come back to the quarterback when the ball's in the air? Do you adjust to the ball when it's in the air? Do you do all the little things, you know, the eye-hand coordination when the ball is coming to you and it's being contested by a defender? Do you do all those little things? So, okay, he did a great job with that. And that's what I really felt good about what I saw on tape. Now, I didn't expect him to evolve as quickly as he did into really a go-to receiver for Carson Wentz, but you could see that the talent was there. And it's almost mind-boggling when you think about this league. This guy had been with the Packers, was with the Lions, and didn't anyone see this? And now this year I could understand it because there was COVID, there was no preseason, there was really no training camp, no offseason. You could see a guy slip. It's your question. No, I was not surprised when I looked at the tape.
And by the way, Jaws, the Eagles actually cut him at the 53-man roster deadline there. But then they put him on the practice and brought him up, and been an unbelievable story.
I guess we got Tiki on the line. So, Tiki, I gave you a big introduction, and you weren't hooked up to me yet. Welcome to the Ron Jaworski Show. How are you, Tiki?
I just finished my show, and I was like, I got to run upstairs, get my phone. I'm good, man. It's good to join you guys.
Hey, before we get to your football career and the Eagles and the Giants game this week, congratulations. I know you have a son that is a wide receiver going to Princeton University next year. You got to be excited about that.
Yeah, I am excited. You know, he got a bunch of offers from FCS schools. He's small. He's my size, a little bit taller than me, about an inch taller than me, but he's not, 6'4", 6'5", and, uber prospect. So he got a lot of interest from FCS schools. And he said, Dad, if I'm going to go FCS, I'm going to go get a great education. And Princeton was top of the list. And I love it, Jaws, because it's 35 minutes away from me. So I'll get to see him play a lot in college.
Oh, that is absolutely awesome. And I'm sure your chest is puffing out right now as a proud dad, which you should be. So wish him the best over there with Coach Surace up at Princeton. Does a great job with that program, and he'll have great success in following in your footsteps. Now, let's
most certainly appreciate it.
Let's get to the let's get to the bare bones of what's going on this week. Eagles Giants. But first of all, in your opinion, Tiki, what has happened to the NFC East?
Well, they've forgotten what makes the NFC East, and that's running the ball. So you got to have a good offensive line and being stout and mean and aggressive on defense. I remember those years when I was there, and the Brian Dawkins is the Hall of Famer, even Jeremiah Trotter. They were mean. Now they were good to me because they had respect for me, but they were mean players, and you could feel like the importance of every play, of every hit. And I think because of the changing nature of the college game, players have gotten a little bit softer. It's more wide open, and it works on the college level. But when you get to the NFL, and you have to have that toughness, especially once it starts to get cold up here in the NFC, in the Northeast, which we haven't even seen yet, to be honest with you, it just changes, the aggression of some of these players. And it is frustrating to watch, to be honest with you, because the NFC East used to be where the champions were made. And now it's like, all right, anybody going to win 7 games this year?
Yeah. Tiki, do you think that the physical style of play, it's never going to be gone because football is a violent physical game. But, every time I look at these teams now and, your Giants, my Eagles, I'm seeing, 11 personnel, 1 back, 1 tight end, and 3 wide receivers, 10 personnel, 1 running back, 4 wide receivers. Actually, 0 personnel with all 5 receivers on the field. Does that, I can imagine what your numbers as receiver would have been in today's NFL. But do you see that this is the way the league is now going? Not only the Eagles and the Giants, but the league in general.
Oh, yeah. This started with, the Mike Martz's systems of the world with the greatest show on turf. Actually started before that with the whole West Coast offense out with the 49ers and Walsh. But, remember Mike Martz and Kurt Warner and that whole group, Marshall Faulk and Azir Keem and, all those dudes. They literally didn't block anybody, Jaws. It was, if you're going to bring an extra blitzer, my quarterback is smart enough to know where your vulnerability is, and the
Right.
ball's coming out of his hands before you get home, and that player is going to be matched up 1-to-1 or wide ass open in the middle of the field
Yep.
and make a huge play. And so all of a sudden you started seeing teams start to copy that. Sean Payton was one of those when he was with us with the New York Giants, and when we got Jeremy Shockey as a tight end, who was like a huge wide receiver, we played a lot of 11 personnel because it gave us an athletic advantage. And as we all know, it's a copycat league, and so people started to copy it over and over and over. It started to expand across the NFL. And then lo and behold, we no longer need these quarterbacks who are pure pocket passers. We can go get, say, an athletic, a running quarterback out of college who does these type of things. I've been doing them since they were in high school. And so the game just slowly evolved from let's get in, a heavy personnel and run smash mouth football to get a 3rd and 1. Now it's like, all right, let's spread everybody out and run a quarterback sneak.
That's right. Right. Or a bubble screen.
It's so
or a
different.
bubble screen out there. Yeah.
Or a bubble screen. I mean, that's the run these days. From a lot of teams, the bubble screen is a run.
Tiki, it's Adam Caplan. Good to talk to you. So,
likewise, Adam.
Good. This is the perfect time to talk about the rivalry of the Giants-Eagles with Coughlin, Andy Reid, all those incredible games, and obviously Eli and all the great Donovan McNabb. What were those games like here to come into Philly, though? Because that was a special atmosphere when you would come into the Link.
Oh, man. It was not fun. First of all, it was the Vet because that's what I remember more than the Link. I think I played twice in the Link, or 2 seasons in the Link, I should say. But the Vet was just, it was disgusting. You guys remember this? It was like,
well, thank you. That's where I spent my career, and loved every minute of it.
I'm not talking about the field. I'm talking about like the locker room. It was like full concrete. It's like the floor is freezing. We got to put towels on the floor. The shower. It was rough sledding. So you had to get yourself mentally prepared to go play in that stadium. Also, it was one of the only. I think it was the only stadium, Adam, where I had to think about my guests. Right? So you go to a game and it's close to New York. So I'm worried about who's coming to this game and where are they going to be sitting. That literally went through my mind when I was when the Vet was still around. And if you guys remember, they had those like makeshift seats that were down near the field, and they were in like striking distance of angry Eagles fans. And so I stopped letting my family come to the games. So I was like, you guys watch it on TV. So it was an intensity that was awesome. And people ask me this all the time. It was my favorite place to play.
Really?
Because you never were not up for the game. You never walked in there like, I don't really feel this, man. These fans are too passive. You never felt that. It was you were pissed as soon as you were walking in because they were screaming at you as you're getting off the bus. It was a great place.
Yeah.
And I am sad to say for Eagles fans that a Barber, that would be my brother, shut down the Vet.
That's right. You had to throw that in there, didn't you? Rondé taking it back. I hear it.
And a former Giant, Joe Jurevicius, by the way.
Right.
That's
But
exactly right.
it's funny you talk about the home field advantage, which there now isn't anymore in the NFL because of COVID. Yeah. Unfortunately, no fans. But we all have stories about Veterans Stadium. I can tell you a lot. But there's one after I retired. And I was very close to John Fox, Tiki. John's just a real outgoing, fun-loving guy. And
great.
I would talk to him every week before games. They're playing the Eagles in the championship game here in Philadelphia. And you have to go through the gatekeeper, his secretary, to get to John. And I would ask his secretary, are you guys coming up for the game? It's championship games. He goes, oh no. We would never go to Philadelphia. We hear that they beat other teams' fans up in the stands. And I just started laughing because it's true. It's true. It's true. They were intimidated. They're intimidated. So, hey.
Or whatever you want to call
it. Yeah, Seamus McCafferty. Judge McCafferty. You're going to
the jail. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So, I actually had last Monday night, the Giants-Tampa Bay game. I called for Westwood One Radio. So I spent a lot of time looking at the Giants tape and studying their team and their roster. And I got to tell you, this is a team that is getting better on both sides of football.
No
Are you getting that feeling that Joe Judge has the team going in the right direction?
Absolutely, Jaws, at 100%. Now, look, there's still a talent gap from some of the elite teams or better teams in the NFL. That's for sure. And they're young at some important spots, including on the offensive line. But you can see the mentality. This team fights, right? They don't just lay down. And other than the San Francisco game, which for whatever reason I happened to be at, I was shooting something, and I was at that San Francisco game, and they got utterly blitzed. They've been in every single game. I know they're only 2-7 on the season, but every game they've had a chance to either tie or be in possession to win the game at the end. So they're fighting, and their defense is stout and opportunistic. Patrick Graham's doing a great job of diversifying the looks that he's presenting offenses, and even confusing the good quarterbacks like Tom Brady a couple weeks ago. He was confusing with running, linebackers or defensive ends underneath, these out routes, these deep out routes that they were running. And so it's a smartly run team. It's also a tough team. They're just young and have to grow into the role. I think the lack of consistency, I should say, since Tom Coughlin was, I don't know how to say it. He wasn't really fired. It was like just asked to leave kind of thing.
Right.
But the lack of consistency of coaching and direction and mission, it really hurt this team. I think Joe Judge comes in. It feels like he's here, and he's here for the long haul. It's allowing him to implement the kind of culture that you need to win, and you're seeing it. It's why they can, hang into games, and if they get, don't turn the ball over, that they can win some of these.
You're listening to the Ron Jaworski Show with my special guest, Adam Caplan, and very special guest, Tiki Barber. And, of course, the Eagles play up at MetLife Stadium on Sunday afternoon. And, it was kind of interesting this week, Tiki. You talked about that culture and that discipline that is so necessary in a football program. And I thought what Joe Judge did last week with Golden Tate, and he made it crystal clear to not only Golden Tate, but he sent a message to his team. It is about team. Right. It is not throw me the damn ball because this is about me. And he kept them home. He said, hey, you're not making this trip down to Washington. They win the game. So I think those are the type of messages that go a long way in building a team. And, you experience the same thing. It's just the way it is. You got to have a coach that demands discipline.
That's right, John. You can't have ambiguity. You can't have, well, am I going to get in trouble because I'm a vet and I'm a star? Or – am I going to get benched because I'm a rookie? It's one of those things where it's got to be equal strokes for all folks. And when Coach Coughlin first came to the Giants, that's how he was with all of us. I mean, it used to piss us off as vets, like me and Strahan and Amani, that he would treat us just like we were the first year or second year guys. But he was establishing the culture and the accountability and the need to do everything right. Not just the big things, but you got to do the little things right, too. That's the only way to win. And that's ultimately why he became so successful. And now, in a lot of people's estimation, and I agree with this, even though we personally didn't get along, he's a Hall of Fame coach. Won 2 championships and changed, the perception of the New York Giants. And Joe Judge has that same opportunity with a team that has been faltering over the last couple of years. It starts with the quarterback, obviously. Daniel Jones had a clean game last week against the Washington football team, and if he does that, I think this team is good enough to hang in with almost anybody. They're doing something, Jaws, that I'm sure you'll see on tape. If you haven't watched it yet, you will. They're rotating offensive linemen, and it's kind of odd. It's like all right, we gotta change the X receiver because it needs a blow. All right, let's change the left tackle. Let's put Matt Pert over there. Andrew Thomas is going to sit down for 5 or 6 plays. Then you're going to go back in, and Shane Lemieux is going to come in at left guard, and it's really odd to see it with the offensive line. But ever since they started doing that, I don't know if it was Jason Garrett's call or Joe Judge's call. They've actually started to run the ball. And when you run the ball, it just makes things easier. It's back to the first question you asked, Jaws. It's NFC East football. It's what the Giants have been good at for years, and they've gotten away from over the last couple, even with Saquon.
Well, that's what I was going to get to, is that offensive line and the running game. As you watched the Washington game last week, I mean, that's what fueled their victory. Obviously, Daniel Jones had a clean game. But if you can pound the football, and Wayne Gallman is that kind of runner, he's going to go north and south. Yep. He's got a little ability to get to the outside, but he's going to get you every yard on an inside zone run. And that's what you're seeing now. And all of a sudden, Daniel Jones is in a normal schedule. He's not in that 3rd and long situation. The interceptions aren't happening, and they become a threat. So I agree with that. I think it's been the offensive line. And hey, by the way, this is a pretty good group of wide receivers. And when you look at Slayton and Shepard, they're solid. Austin Mack has now emerged as a guy that Daniel Jones feels comfortable with. Have you seen that?
Yeah, no, he's a big wide receiver, and I remember last week everybody was texting me like, "Who the hell is this Austin Mack kid? Where's he from?" And I'm like, I don't even know. To be honest with you, but then you go look at it. Kid played at Ohio State, man. I mean, of course he has some talent to have gotten a scholarship and have been a player at Ohio State. Yes, he was a free agent coming into the league, but he knew big time football, and I think the Giants are benefiting from his ascension. And maybe it's Golden Tate's loss, but if he at 6'1" and 6'2" ish and 215 pounds can become a player that Daniel Jones can depend on, all of a sudden with that run game that you were mentioning, you get some diversity in this offense. It gets exciting. Like you start to feel hope for this New York Giants squad. That's all you can ask for. Like, we knew that Joe Judge wasn't coming in and competing for a wild card spot. It was, can you change the emotion? Can you make us feel hopeful for what's going to happen in the next year or two and get these guys on the right page? And given that there was no offseason, the early start, the struggles is no surprise. But given that they're getting where they're going, it tells you how good of a job that he is doing and his assistants are doing.
And Tiki, in this NFC East, someone is going to get hot in the second half of the season. Everyone here in Philadelphia is hoping it's the Eagles, but hey, it could be the Giants. It could be Washington. I don't think it's going to be Dallas, but hey, the way things are going this year, it could be anybody. So
it could be anybody. I mean, and honestly, the Eagles, they surprisingly, as they got hurt, whatever you want to call it, offensively, Carson Wentz is starting to play a little bit better. Now, the Dallas game notwithstanding, where he was garbage pre-bye week, but they still won that football game. Carson Wentz is doing trying to do a lot with a little to work with. And this kid, Fulgham, again, it's someone I didn't know until this season. He's turned into one of his go-to guys. So if they can find those big plays to go along with some consistency, the Eagles, they have the pedigree of more than 18 in the division right now.
Well, Tiki, I really want to thank you for taking time out of your very busy schedule. You walk out of one show and come on my show. I really appreciate it. From myself and Adam Caplan, we say thank you very much and good luck down the road. Tiki Barber.
Appreciate you, Joe. Take care, Adam.
Thank you. Thanks,
All right. Tiki Barber joining us here on the Ron Jaworski Show, and we'll be back, Adam Caplan and myself, with more about the Philadelphia Eagles right after this. This is Ron Jaworski. I want to invite everyone to rediscover the excellence and diversity of my 6 championship golf courses. You know what first attracted me to the game of golf? It's the precision it requires at every level. At Ron Jaworski Golf, everything we do centers around you. It's the small touches that make golf so special. That's what drew me in years ago and forever shapes the way I feel about the game. Come enjoy our amazing signature golf courses or go to ronjaworskigolf.com.
Hut, hut.
Your wedding might look a little different than you first imagined. But that doesn't mean it can't be the most memorable day of your life. At Ron Jaworski Weddings, our 5 award-winning wedding venues are open, and we're meeting with couples daily, both in person by appointment or virtually with tours and video conferences. Voted the best of the knot and Wedding Wire 11 years in a row. See all we can do to make your day special at ronjaworskiweddings.com.
This is Ron Jaworski. I want to invite everyone to rediscover the excellence and diversity of my 6 championship golf courses. You know what first attracted me to the game of golf? It's the precision it requires at every level. At Ron Jaworski Golf, everything we do centers around you. It's the small touches that make golf so special. That's what drew me in years ago and forever shapes the way I feel about the game. Come enjoy our amazing signature golf courses or go to Ron Jaworski
at the Downingtown Country Club with my very special guest, NFL insider Adam Caplan. And first of all, let me thank Tiki Barber for taking time out of his busy broadcast schedule to join me for a half hour here on the Ron Jaworski Show. And Adam, he gave us some very interesting insight onto the New York Giants. There is a feeling in New York right now that this team is getting better, and
They are.
I can validate Tiki's feeling. You look at the tape, and I called that game, the Giants against the Buccaneers a couple of weeks ago, and I mean the Giants took them right to the last play of the game, basically a 2-point conversion. It's a team that's getting better. It's a team that's much more disciplined. It's a team where their offensive line is starting to come together and play more fluently as a group. You could have 5 great players on an offensive line. Doesn't mean you have a great offensive line. They must play together. You can see that with the Giants. It's starting to come. Wayne Gallman's giving them the running game. And first and foremost, their quarterback, Daniel Jones, who has enormous talent, is not turning the football over. And that's always the key in the NFL.
It is, Jaws. The one thing that concerns me, and Tiki Barber was talking about it, and you rarely see it, offensive linemen coming in and out of the game. They're having actually a rotation in game. That's not great for continuity, but I guess it's working. They may get Devontae Freeman back. Remember, they signed him formerly of the Falcons. He had been out for a bit with an ankle injury, but he started working today, so they'll see if they'll have him. Wayne Gallman right now is their starter, filling in for, obviously, the great Saquon Barkley, who's out for the season with a torn ACL. But I do believe Daniel Jones is a quarterback that needs a run game. Not all quarterbacks need one, but he needs one because of the turnover rate. Carson Wentz needs one to a certain degree because of the turnover rate. Carson, unfortunately, on pace for 32 total turnovers, which you can't have happen, but it's happening right now.
I will tell you this. I played in the league for 17 years, Adam. My best years is when I had a running game. And I think you could ask every Hall of Fame quarterback, and they would tell you how important that component is to their success.
Yeah.
I'm not telling you got to run, have 1,000-yard running backs, but you must be able to run the football. And Tiki actually alluded to the fact when he was talking about that Rams greatest show on turf under Dick Vermeil and Mike Martz. We had Dick Vermeil here a few weeks ago at the Downingtown Country Club, sitting in the exact same seat you're in right now, Adam. And he was talking about having to go down the line and talk to Mike Martz during the game and say one simple line, 28, that being Marshall Faulk. Yeah. Don't get so damn pass happy. Don't get so caught up in yourself and what a genius you are. Run the damn ball, and we could be effective, and it'll make Kurt Warner a better quarterback. So I agree with Tiki. You've got to have that physical part of your game as a major part of your success.
Okay, so let's get into Carson Wentz a little bit here, because the last time I was on with you, it was 4 or 5 weeks ago, and Wentz was also struggling, though. And let's bring the run game into this. With Miles Sanders, by the way, should play this week, I'm told. If he does, Jaws, how much will that help them? Because I do believe the explosiveness has been missing from that run game.
Well, he's their best back. So obviously you miss that player. And Sanders is that elusive guy. I call guys that have the Zuzu. They make people miss when they get in space. And not that Boston Scott, these other guys don't, but Miles Sanders is your number one back. So to get him in the backfield certainly is important. He can catch the football as well. But to me, it's going to be intriguing to see, will Doug dial up some running plays? I mean, he is in a position right now where he's getting some people healthy. Alshon will be back. You got Goddard back right now. So is he going to go back
block for the run game, by the way?
Exactly. Yeah. But is he going to go back to, hey, you know what? I got Carson Wentz, and we're going to sling it around the ball field. I think that would be a mistake. And I love Doug. I think the guy's a phenomenal football coach, but sometimes I use the term balance, equilibrium. It's the goal of the offensive coordinator to keep the defense off balance, so they don't know what's coming. And play calling is about being attacking the predictable and not the uncertainty. So you got to anticipate what the defense is going to be and call plays to attack that defense. If you get one-dimensional and you're a pass-happy football team, It's easier to call defense. Slants, stunts, twists up front, put your offensive line in difficult positions, and allow your secondary to give you a lot of different looks. So I think it's incumbent on the play caller to keep balance within the game plan.
Now, within that structure, I do believe, and I know you saw it in the Dallas game, for the first time all season, they did a ton of pre-snap motion. You're going to see that going forward. That's just, from what I've been hearing, that's something that they know they have to do. Rich Scangarello is here because of that, because of his history in the Shanahan system. The Niners were, last year, 70%, most of the National Football League, pre-snap motion. It should do something for their pass game, you would think. Okay, well, you're smiling. Go ahead. Tell me I'm out of my mind.
It's a great question. And, the thing
I believe it's going to happen.
It might be good and it might be bad.
Okay. Well, why do you say that?
And I'll tell you. I'm going to tell you why.
Hear this.
I think we could arguably say that one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time is Peyton Manning. Right? And Peyton Manning, by the way, will be my guest next week on my podcast. So I had a chance to talk to Peyton. I did one of his ESPN Peyton's Place pieces.
Yeah.
So,
the film one, right?
The film one. In the film room. Okay. So anyway, it's hard to believe about Peyton, but I'm going to tell you, talk about motion.
Okay.
In his entire career, which he'll go in the Hall of Fame next year, he never ran a motion across the formation. Like if you start on the right side and cross to the left side.
Oh, you told us that years ago.
Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne, Dallas Goedert. They lined up to the right side all the time. Was Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne, the left side. You don't see that anymore. So I asked Peyton about that many times when I was calling Monday Night Football. And here's sometimes the simple things got to come to your mind.
Yeah.
And it never came to my mind, so I must not have. Peyton says, Jaws, once a receiver or a motion crosses the center, it changes the weak side to the strong side, or vice versa, the strong side to the weak side. So it changes what all the defenses do at that time. The minute a receiver or a back cross the motion, watch it. When you watch a game Sunday, what'll happen defensively? Guys will be waving their hands, making all the calls. They're changing the defense. So Peyton was one of those guys. He hated that. He would rather see the defense, read the defense, read the coverage, pre-snap. Exactly what you said.
Got it.
He did not like when the defense changed when there was a motion. So that's what I'm saying. It's not good for everybody. I'd say, when Peyton told me that probably a number of years ago.
Interesting.
Yeah. That makes sense.
But don't you, as a quarterback, don't you want to get a pre-snap indicator? Okay, if I'm going to move the receiver across the formation and they follow him, that's man.
It's man.
So don't you want that pre-snap indicator?
It always helps.
Yeah.
But you can read it a number of other ways. The first, I'll take it back to the late 70s when Sid Gilman was my head coach. The first indicator of man or zone is the linebacker, because the linebacker's got responsibility for a back, or if he's in the middle or if he's on the side.
So if you have the back offset, you could tell that if the linebacker has
if you have a pass play and you're reading your keys as a quarterback, and your first step, if you want to determine if it's man or zone, look at the linebacker. If he takes one step forward, he's going into his man coverage. If he takes a step back, it's zone. It's zone. In one step, you will know. I mean, those are little nuances of the game that I learned throughout my career. That back will always tell you. So, hey, you can dictate some things that show you a man-to-man coverage. The motion usually does. It depends, in all your tape study and preparation, some teams will bump it. Some teams will have the guy run all the way. So you're in a position where you know exactly what it's going to be. And by the way, the game has evolved to where it's not always true. There are man concepts within a zone scheme. There are a lot of different nuances of coverage now that keep evolving because offense has put so much pressure on defense now with these, as Tiki and I were talking about. It used to be pretty simple. 2 backs in the backfield, a tight end, 2 wide receivers. Now you can get 5 wide receivers on the field at one time.
But when you see our good friend Andy Reid, what he's doing, which is incredible innovation, orbit motion, ghost motion, so much supposed eye candy before the snap. To me, as a guy who watches this, I wonder how tough it's got to be on a defensive coach and I know they have an unbelievable speed. That's obviously a part. That's why you're doing it. But now you put Jalen Reagor on the field. He just got back from his injury. John Hightower, I know you're not going to play him a ton of snaps, but he can move. Goddard runs very well for his size. You finally have explosiveness on this offense, Justin. They need to take care of it.
What I want to see is some guys play to their damn speed.
How so though? What do you want to say? What do you want to say?
I'm tired.
I can tell you're not happy about this.
I'm tired about hearing about how fast this guy is. Well, get in the damn field and show me how fast you are. Start making some plays, run down the field and run a go route and catch the football. You know,
They don't track it well here.
All these stats and all this guy runs a 4.31 and all that to me, that's all BS, Adam. And I'm not picking on you.
I know you. I get fired up. You're fired up.
Then when I see a Travis Fulgham going, he ran a 4.53. That's for nobody like it. You know, when I look at the tape, he's running by people.
I know his play speed's way better.
He's got game speed, and I compare Travis Fulgham to Mike Quick all the time.
That's a good one.
All the time, because when Mike Quick came to the Eagles, remember his knock? Oh, he only ran 4.5.
Exactly.
Perry Tuttle was a fast guy. The Bills drafted him at number 1. Hey, I played with Mike a number of years. I think I ever overthrew Mike. The ball was in the air. Mike ran 4.1, 4.2, whatever it took for Mike to get that ball. He had that extra gear. So that's what I'm saying. I'm tired of hearing about, this guy clocked fast at the combine. He should be able to run by people. And yet I got guys 4 or 5 corners running stride for stride with him as I look at tape. And so why can't you run by a guy you're fast in?
And by the way, running past someone is a skill, okay? Using leverage, using your hands to free yourself, get open. Rager, as a kid, one of the things that he did really well is he would attack the football in college. That's one of the things that the teams that liked him, they love the way he do that. Now, the hands were inconsistent. That needs to be worked on. But explosiveness is what he's about. He's a guy who's really built for a guy who's 5'10" and change. But they're healthier now. The only guy they really don't have is Deshaun Jackson. They're not going to have him for probably until late December if they have him at all. But now that the Jaws are getting everybody back, how good could this offense be?
I think it can be very, very good. And I'm gonna just be calm about it, because it's going to be determined by the quarterback. And we've had this discussion. We talked about it on the show every single week. The quarterback's not playing well. I mean, I love the kid. I love his talent. I love his ability. When I was out in Fargo, North Dakota, I couldn't wait to start talking about the kid. I fell in love with his talent. Having talent and not using it properly is a problem. And right now, that's the problem. And I don't know why he's erratic. I don't know why he's not consistently accurate. I don't know why receivers are open. He seems like he's looking at him and doesn't pull the trigger. I don't know. I would love to talk to him and ask him those questions, like I'm sure Doug and Press Taylor and everybody else is. Why didn't you throw it? Because there are play calls, receivers are open, and he's not pulling the trigger. I know the play design. I know where it's supposed to go against each and every coverage. But I don't see him letting the ball go when it's supposed to be let go. And that's troubling to me. So it's something beyond the X's and O's.
I do believe that part of what you're saying plays into what he's doing. He's trying to make the big play. Instead of taking that shallow cross for 10 yards, he still wants to hit the big play. The Eagles, the one thing they're doing this year, though, they're not hitting a majority of them, unfortunately, is they're stretching the field more in passes, the supposed air yards, but they're not hitting because Wentz has not been accurate. He's playing with guys he's not really played with before. That takes time, as you know, as a quarterback. Got to keep getting those reps in. But there's something going on with Wentz and trying to do too much. It's got to the point where, we know that they're watching tape on Monday morning with Carson after the game, and they're showing it to him. And I know coaches will tell me, because I've asked them this question before. They'll ask you, what were you seeing? What were you thinking? Well, Jaws, you play the position, and if you had a bad game or you made some throws that weren't good, did you not dread that meeting Monday morning?
I never had a bad game, by the way, just in case you didn't.
That's breaking news.
To you, maybe.
Yeah,
not to me.
I'm just kidding.
I know. I can have fun with you.
One thing about Jaws is, Jaws and I did a fantasy football show in 2003, right? My friend John Hansen,
Yep. Does a phenomenal job
for the fantasy stuff. So I said, Jaws, we don't know.
How many damn jobs you have, by the way?
87.
I'm kind of, you're doing fantasy, you're doing gaming, everything.
Right.
Every time I turn on the darn radio, you're
trying to make a living. But I said, Jaws, we don't know each other. So getting to know you. He said, can we pick on you a little bit? He said, anything. We picked on you so hard. I mean, I couldn't believe you took it like a man. So I loved it, man. Your hair was a different color back then. By the way. Yeah. I know you look good.
I didn't know what fantasy was back then.
No, but it's a big business.
I'll tell you that. In fact,
Travis Fulgham, by the way, is really good at fantasy. He's doing really well for people who
picked
on their fantasy teams. It's unbelievable.
Who would have thought, right? Yeah. Exactly. Well, I would tell you one of my worst days of my life, football-wise, was after the 1977 season, when I had to go into Dick Vermeil's office, and I threw 21 interceptions last year, which was my career high, 21 picks, right? And we sat there an entire day going over 21 interceptions. And you talk about being shredded, ripped. You better have some thick skin.
What did he say to you?
He ripped me. I wanted, and this stuff through the season we had gone through it, but this is going to be one day dedicated to shredding.
It's a hit chain. And by the way,
Doug
Peterson just said that he said he put a hit tape of all Carson's turnovers.
And again, he wanted me to know if that was my first year as an Eagles quarterback. If I wanted to be the Eagles quarterback, better cut that crap out because you're not going to be my quarterback.
Were you forcing the ball?
It was
combination.
It's never one thing. I don't remember every one. Maybe I do, but I can remember that day. What a miserable, horrible day it was for me as a football player. Because hey, and that's why I always say I'm not down at Lincoln Financial Field and with those guys and how they coach and how they teach, and I'm sure they do. I'm sure on Monday and Tuesday they're going over that tape and they're asking Carson, what did you see? Why did you throw it? Because they need to know. So when Doug's calling plays, he's kind of inside of Carson's head, which after 5 years now, I think he's got a pretty good idea of what the guy can do and maybe don't put him in some situations. And but a lot of these have been on Carson. I mean, there have been people open, as I just said. But the part that bothers me most of all, there's going to be inaccuracy. You're going to miss guys. I mean, I used to always tell people, whenever people ask me, fans, whatever, Josh, how did you miss Harold Carmichael? He was wide open. I said, I had a guy 6'9", too tall Jones in my face. When I was looking at his number 79, I couldn't find number 82 because I couldn't see him. You're up there in the 600 level with a six-pack. You see that guy running free. I couldn't see anything, So that's what you have to deal with the quarterback position. That's why I'm saying as your Press Taylor or Marty Morningwig or whoever's in those meetings now along
Scangarello,
with Scangarello saying, what did you see? So they can understand from Carson's perspective what was going through his mind.
You did teach me years ago at NFL Films. You would say,
I love when you come in with that tape.
I love that's how I learned the quarterback position. So you and Greg Cosell would tell me, because you both saw it at the same prism. When a quarterback's really, really struggling processing or just struggling overall, get it out of his hands quickly, get him comfortable, get him accurate, build his confidence, and then expand the passing game more. Because what else can you do with him now? You've gone over every interception, every fumble. We know the line sometimes has been bad because of the changes, because they had 4 guys out at one point. But what else can you possibly do to get him right?
Adam, it's a really fine line because as a head coach, your job is to win the game. You also want to bring your quarterback along. So maybe you're thinking, okay, I'm going to work the tight end in a hank route, 6 yards over the ball. I'm going to do a stop route at 5 yards. Those high percentage. Let's throw some screens, some bubble screens, some hots and things like that, smokes. Let him get some completions to get himself in a groove. Now, again, you're doing that to help your quarterback. Are you helping your team? So that's the fine line.
You don't want to be too conservative.
You don't want to be too conservative saying, okay, I got to get Carson going, but then you're hurting the team. There's a difference.
You mentioned the smoke route. That's the old Steve Smith play where it's a called run play.
Yeah, stand up.
Only the receiver and the quarterback know. How does that work, though? Do they just look because the corner's off the line a little bit?
Well, you got to remember how many hours and hours and hours you look at tape of the team you're playing. Right now, if saying I'm Carson Wentz right now, and I'm watching the New York Giants and their defense, and in a certain down and distance, you're going to get this corner playing 10 yards off. And you got a dive play call or a zone read or something inside. It's one of those zone plays not everybody runs. So you look at the corners playing 10 yards off, you take one step back and throw the ball out to your wide receiver. Smoke route. And you know what? It picks up 5 yards easily.
I must have seen it 100 times watching tape with you with Steve Smith. He and Jake Delhomme. It was unbelievable. Yeah. And it would always work.
Yeah. And the best part of it, those are setup plays, which I love, because now all of a sudden that corner starts creeping up a little bit. And next time you tell Steve, next time, I'm going to give you a nod, and then you're going to go. Yeah. And then you get the big play. So it's the unspoken language that goes through as you're playing quarterback and wide receiver. But there's a lot of ways to beat a defense, and that's generally one of them. But probably if we're on Wentz right now, and I'll give you an example. It was the Dallas game, 4th and 3, the second time he fumbled, and
first one was.
Yeah, the first one, he should have thrown that. Yes. But even the second one, the Cowboys blew a coverage. He had Rager wide open, and he had 84. I'm seeing. I just see the
Greg Ward.
Greg Ward was like 5 yards to the left. He was wide open. The Cowboys blew the coverage. Carson took his drop. His eyes. I'm looking at the end zone cut up. His eyes are right at both of those guys, and he didn't throw the football. They're both wide open at 6 yards on a little hank route over the ball. It just stopped 6 yards over the ball. A little further his left was Greg Ward. And it's like, why didn't he throw it? That's one of those, I'd like to
know. Right.
Why? Because it was open. This kid has thrown that ball probably 100 times. Why didn't he throw it that time?
Do you remember we asked Joe Flacco to come in at NFL Films. He came in, and there was a play that you and Cosell wanted to know about. You were dying to know. It was the first thing you asked him as soon as he sat down. And you brought the play up. You go, hey, Joe, what happened here? I just thought it was interesting how it was killing you. You were dying to know.
Yeah.
And I could tell right now you're dying to know what's going on.
It's just like it's like wide, and
right,
you know,
sure.
But that's what like the beauty of you know what we do and what I did for a long time and still enjoy doing is the tape study. And I get Joe Flacco to come in or any other NFL, my office at NFL Films and Ross Ketover and the guys there. It's like all.
Oh, the coaches, Rod Rust, the late Rod Rust. It was incredible.
Taught me defense really.
Oh.
But it was funny. You mentioned Joe Flacco. I talked to Joe on Monday because I called that the Jets game. The Jets.
Other than one play, other than one pass, played pretty well.
Joe played great.
Yeah.
Joe played great. It was Joe threw the interception. Bad play call. 6 minutes ago. 6 minutes ago. 10 point.
Right.
Wait, that's not your time.
Right.
You know that's ego. Let's put him away. No. Milk the clock, man. And I see the replay. There's a guy opening the flap, but don't even call that play. I'll give the Patriots the credit in the world. The backside corner fell inside, forced Joe to throw the ball a little bit up the field, where I know he'd rather bring him across the field. But to me, that's a play calling error. You don't need a home run there. You got a 10-point lead.
Throw it to the tight end.
Now you got to manage the game. You just don't need to make that kind of decision. So. That's the way it is sometimes. But by the way, I thought Joe had a heck of a game. Mm-hmm. The Jets actually looked like a professional team.
They did.
With Joe at quarterback.
Should have won it.
Which leads you to believe Sam Darnold may not be the guy for the future there.
Well, especially if they have the first pick overall.
Who might that be?
As long as he declares it's going to be Mr. Lawrence.
Thank you very much. Yeah. I don't care who you are.
The man with the hair.
Long hair. Hey, if you're the Dallas Cowboys, you take Trevor Lawrence. That guy's going to be something special. But as long as he's not I don't want him in our division. That guy's going to be a player. All right, Al, you know what I always do here.
Yep.
You know what we always
Prediction
do.
time.
You're ready. Prediction time. Who you got?
Got to go with the Eagles here with a lot of players back. Although I'll tell you, it should be close. The Giants really outplayed the Eagles. Should have beat them 3 weeks ago.
Evan Ingram just catch the ball.
I know. And in fact, he's coming on here. It looks like the weather's going to hold off Sunday in the Meadowlands. I've got it. Eagles 20. The Giants 17.
Ooh,
low scoring game.
So it's 3.5, I think. All right.
Is that the line? I didn't know.
Yeah, I just watch it every now and then. 3.5. Gotcha. We got Jason Jones. Give it 3.5. You get him ready for my podcast where I make predictions. Right, Jason? Get it ready. All right. It was 21-20 a few weeks ago.
Is that the score? Okay.
Eagles over the Giants. I'm going to go another tight one, a little more high scoring. I got the Eagles winning this one 28-27.
Wow, why so many points? Why so many points?
I think both offense, you're talking about the Eagles now getting
both quarterbacks
back.
Turn it over a lot.
I don't think it's going to happen. I think I don't. I think the Giants will run the ball more with Gallman. I think the Eagles
that'll play right into the
Eagles'
hands. That'll play right in the Eagles' hands. Eagles run defense pretty good.
Very good. It's very good. Yeah. Not been dominant, but very good.
Pretty good.
Very good. All right, so we both got the Eagles.
Oh yeah.
So we could celebrate with a Miller Lite on Sunday night.
There you go.
All right. Special thanks to Adam Caplan, our NFL insider, for joining me on the show. Once again, always a pleasure having Adam.
Thank you.
All right, go Birds. Let's get a win against the G-Men. All right, everyone, have a great night.